me 1 second, class. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Good evening. My name is Sean Rogers Jr., but you can call me future professor, master's, PhD, Dr. Sean Rogers Jr. Our first lesson is going to be on over policing. As it's January 24th and we have a whole new, entirely different government coming into office. So I'm sure we hear the words and the phrase over policing so many times, but what does it mean? Over policing is the excessive and often aggressive policing practice that disproportionately targets specific communities, particularly marginalized groups. I might have to zoom in on that one more time so we can get that definition. I need y'all to understand this. The excessive and often aggressive policing practices that disproportionately, that word disproportionately is important, disproportionately target specific communities, particularly marginalized groups. If you don't know what a marginalized group is, now, over here I have a few examples of what over-policing was and what it currently is. In 1965, over-policing was mainly done through these acts. Water hoses, bloodhounds, public lynchings, random stop and search, no knock, all enter, meaning they gonna bust through your door regardless, and raids. Now, raids is important because we're seeing that happen right now. Now in 2025, things look a little bit different because it's not 1965 anymore, okay? Like, obviously, the police have not only upgraded their tactics, but completely changed them to match the time that we're in right now, okay? So now, in 2025, when you see over-policing, it's mainly done by the police being posted up on every highway corner, just sitting, just watching, just waiting. It's the use of police lights as a scare tactic. You know how many times the police turn on their lights just to pass you? They turn on their lights and you literally see them swerving through traffic, and then all they want to do is make a left. They turn on their lights as you're driving behind them. They turn on the lights as a scare tactic in order to keep people in line. The police also have literally been writing MARTA stop to stop. I saw a police officer, two actually, hop on the train at 5 Point Station and just ride. There was no issue, there was no complaint, there was no fighting, there was no nothing. They just got on, train doors closed, and they just rolled off. That's over-policing, because now you are using our tax dollars to put cops in an area where they're not needed. You know how many anyway, one small way you may notice the police and the over-policing that's been occurring since 2016, each time you drive and you say, dang, they out today, that is a sign, that is a instinctual realization that the police are more prevalent in your community than they ever have before. So, in the 1965 section, I also have a couple of things that I moved over to the 2025 section because the tactics, they may change, but ultimately they have been used over and over and over again in history, okay? Random stop and search, move that over to 2025 because that's happening. New York has a horrific rate of stop and frisk. Under Mayor Adams, the stop and frisk in New York has been increasingly more aggressive than what it was in its previous administration. And then we have no knock, all enter. The police is coming, and they don't give a fuck about a fucking warrant. Legally, they're supposed to have a warrant. These motherfuckers truly do not. Hold on, let me look y'all in y'all face. These motherfuckers are legally supposed to have a warrant. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about having a warrant. Or they could show you a piece of paper and say it was a warrant, and you may think it was a warrant. It has to be signed, a signed warrant by a judge. It has to be very specific. These motherfuckers don't give a fuck though, because they will knock and enter without your permission. Okay. Last but not least on our list, we have raids. Raids has been moved over to 2025. If you've been watching the news, you've been seeing that the raids have been increasing with ICE and immigration, even before Donald Trump got elected, because they started happening during the fires, the Palisade and the Eaton fires in California. That's when they really started to ramp it up. But now after that man signed all of them executive actions and executive orders, the raids are going to be and have been increasing in frequency all over the United States. All over the United States. Here in Atlanta. Okay? The raids are happening with immigration, meaning people who are undocumented who are in the country. Most people who are undocumented in the United States came to the United States with the proper documents and just overstayed the visa. The girl's gonna say, what about the border? What about the people hopping the border? The amount of people who are hopping the border is not equaling to what the mainstream media is saying about who is illegal immigrants and who's not illegal immigrants. The main focus of this push of raids and immigration is because of the search of illegal immigrants, and many illegal immigrants are really just undocumented people who have overstayed their visa, and because the United States has such a horrible process to even become a citizen, you can't go through the proper networks and get actual citizenship because they make that shit so damn hard. But they make it hard for a reason, because if you're not a citizen, we can pay you like trash. It's capitalism. It's capitalism, you know? Let me write that on the board really quickly. Capitalism. Because, baby, at the end of the day, it's always gonna be capitalism. Capitalism. My God. But let me talk while I'm looking this up. Once one group is able to be marginalized, once one group is able to be pushed to the side, it is a trickle effect for everybody else, especially if you're a person in a marginalized community. Truly, America only wants white males. Cis, hetero, white males. If you are not that, America don't want you, baby. You are considered a marginalized person. And because you are a marginalized person, you can be affected by any law that they make to affect and harm marginalized people, because once it's applied to one marginalized people, it will and can be applied to all marginalized people. Lake and Riley Act being passed on how the police, isn't even immigration, but the police have the authority to arrest illegal immigrants who have committed a crime or have been assumed to have committed a crime. That's dangerous, because we have to ask ourselves, who's saying what's illegal? Who's determining who's an illegal immigrant? A lot of this is tricky Because the police don't know, don't care to ask questions. They will discriminate. They will look at you and think that you committed a crime. They will make laws to make specific things crimes so that they can lock people up. Once they do that, it's going to be assumptive crime rates. These assumptive crime rates are going to impact everybody. Why? Because that key word assumptive. If the police have the authority to assume who's committed a crime, it's done. It's done. We are going off of a perspective of a person who is in a system who discriminates against people. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. I need y'all to stick with me now. Stick with me, please. Please, I'm begging. I'm begging. I know time frames and I know time spans just don't last as long as they used to. Mine don't. But I just need y'all to stick with me for 1 second, okay? Just 1 second. If the police have the ability to assume that anybody has committed a crime, what makes you think they won't assume that you committed a crime? What makes you assume that they think that you and your entire family hasn't committed a crime? Because they see your entire family rolling up in Benzes and charges and living in a mansion. They will assume you committed a crime to get that money. And so they will then commit raids. Okay? My bad to the people next door. Now, once the police have already assumed and done the assumptive crime raids, it will now become insurgency crime raids. Okay? Insurgency crime raids means that when people have realized the bullshit that the United States government, the United States police and military has done, they will now start gathering as a people, gathering as a community, to now form groups to combat the authoritative powers. They will create groups to combat the authoritative powers. And once they do that, they will have insurgency raids. Insurgency raids are specifically meant to crack down on the people while they are trying to stand up for themselves. Let me zoom in so we understand this. Insurgency raids will be used to crack down on the people because they are standing up for themselves. And they will do that because of the assumptive crime raids, okay? Because standing up for yourself will be illegal. They will make it a law, girl. It's so easy. They have the House of Representatives, they have the Senate, and they have the presidency, girl. And they have the Supreme Court, girl. These laws are being passed, girl. These laws are being passed. So they will do the insurgency raids, cracking down on the citizens because they will assume the citizens are committing a crime. Okay? These are two ways that the police will be using their force. Cop cities, which we already know is being built in Atlanta, in DeKalb County, at your grandmama's house, and the Georgia State Ghillie Program. The Georgia State Ghillie Program uses Israeli defense officers, who are the people that are currently committing the genocide. They use them to come to the United States to train our police officers in their ways of committing genocide. Okay? And let's be specific, because this is GSU funded, girl. My tuition. All of this matters. Cop cities are training police officers to conduct these raids. And it all starts with over-policing. So when you see the police at your grandma's house, when you see the police at the train station just sitting, when you see the police knocking on your door, know your rights. Try to use your rights. And honestly, just look at them with the most stank and upset face, because truly they deserve no respect. None. Because policing as a system is racist and discriminatory and just upright horrible. And if you're a police officer, and if you ain't using your authority to literally not bother no fucking body, then you're part of the issue. This is future Professor, Master's PhD, Dr. Rooks Jr. And this is class for today. Like I said, I don't know how much was recorded, but my gosh, I hope it's enough for it to make sense. Cause y'all gotta know this information. And I'm gonna get it to y'all. Ashe.